For almost 30 years, people have been calling this one of the greatest games ever made. And somehow I had never played it. So with the remake on the horizon, I decided it was finally time to see what all the hype was about. Not only I've never played it, but I've also never seen anything about it, no gameplay, nothing. The only thing I know is that this game is a masterpiece. So in this video, I will tell my experience playing this game for the first time without knowing nothing. This is my journey for the first time playing The Legends of Zelda Ocarina of Time. First, the textures in the beginning will be kinda weird, some newer and some old. I fixed this after almost 2 hours of gameplay. After that, everything will look fancy, okay? With that said, let's begin. I started exploring around, get using with the camera and the controls, and I barely started, but I can see that I would love to have played this game as a child. An open world, so many things to explore, to discover, so charismatic, so many cool characters. I got a taste of how good this game is right in the first dungeon inside the Great Deku Tree. Navi the fairy teach me how to look down, and I can see that I need to break this cobweb somehow. What I like about this dungeon is how many cool mechanics it already has, like reflected shots using the Deku shield. When you get the slingshot, you have to look up to shoot the ladder in order to go back, and at the spiders using auto lock or the manual aim. And yes, I always struggle so much to use these analog sticks in this game somehow. Even to kill the big spider, you have a little mechanic, like you have to wait until it turn around to attack. And by the way, if I was a kid playing this game, I would be terrified of that spider. Not that I particularly like them today, but in video game it's fine. Anyway, moving on. Killing the spider, I jump into the cobweb, breaking it, and here is the classic sound when you do the right thing. It's so satisfying. Exploring more around, there's other simple and cool mechanics to light up the torch using your stick, and all of the mechanics teach you to think when things aren't always so obvious. Like in this part, you press the button to light up the torch that burn the cobweb, and that way the game teach you. So you have to light up your stick to burn the cobweb on the other side. The boss of this dungeon is also very simple and very terrifying. If I was a kid, I don't know if I will be able to defeat this boss, because look at this boss, man. Before the boss, a mob gives you a clue. To defeat the boss, that is, attack it when it's stunned. Actually, you have to use the slingshot when the eye is red and then attack. After the dungeon, the Great Deku Tree tells about the story of the Triforce and the Evil Man, Ganondorf, and give me the first of the 3 spiritual stones I need to open the Temple of Time. This is when the tutorial ends and the gameplay really starts. You have a lot to explore, and now you can go to Hyrule. Of course, it's my first time ever playing this game, and my goal was just finish the game and enjoy playing. So I didn't see or do everything, not even close that, especially since this game is full of secrets and missions that are hard to complete. After I reach Hyrule market area, I really see how weird the texture was, and that's when I started looking into how to improve it, and I started a mod and everything looked better. In here, there's a lot to do. I played the slingshot minigame with my awful hand, broke into houses, checked the shops, and brought the Hylian shield. The owl tells me that the time passes when you are out of the town, so there's day and night cycle. Locations change depending on whether it's day or night, and new NPC appears. Passing to the guards, finally I reach at Princess Zelda. I love how suddenly a strange boy appears and she immediately reveals a sacred secret of the realm without even think twice. Well, they're both kids, so it's okay, I guess. And after she telling me about everything about the prophecy, about Ganondorf, I can answer, I don't believe you. I was so curious to select this option, but I didn't have the nerve to be so rude to her. Next, Impa teach me the first Ocarina song, Zelda's Lullaby, a song that will be so useful to the whole game. My next stop is another iconic place, Kakariko Village. There's so many secrets and quests to do here, I barely have done half of it. There is a graveyard in this area, and after playing Zelda's Lullaby, the giant tombstone explodes, revealing a passage. Here, there are monsters with that bizarre scream that leaves you paralyzed for a moment. Bro, imagine it being a kid playing this. I'm the only one who'll be scared to death. Maybe I was just a very fearful child. Maybe. Here in Kakariko Village, there's a guard that asks you to buy a mask in Hyrule mask shop for his son. And if you go there, buy the mask and sells to him, he will use the mask to the whole game. It's so cool. I love it, this detail. During the whole game, Navi will help you, saying where you need to go next or some hints in general, like this one. If she didn't say about going back to the village and talk to Saria, probably it will take me a long time to discover that. There's more iconic moments before going to the plot of this game that, spoiler alert, I didn't knew what will obvious happen in this game. Probably everyone knew this or was obvious when you play, but took me almost 8 hours to realize what will happen. But first, as I was saying, there's more cool moments like Darunia dancing when you play Saria's song. And the classic Dodongo Cavern main puzzle, you have to throw a bomb in each eye of the giant statue. Took me half an hour in this puzzle, and if you weren't for the clue, it probably would have taken a lot longer, or I will have to look it up online. After defeat the boss in the Dodongo Cavern, Darunia, the chief of Gorons, give me the second spiritual stone. Now in Lake Hylia, moving on to Lake Hylia, I found a message inside a jar that says, "Help me, I'm waiting for you inside Lord Jabu-Jabu bellies. Ruto. P.S. Don't tell my father." And of course, the first thing I do, I immediately went to talk to her father, King Zora, and I laugh so much of him slowly move out of the way. He really takes its time. Now I have to find a way to make Lord Jabu-Jabu open its mouth, and I confess I had no idea how on earth I would do that. I have to search for the solution, and all I have to do is get a fish using a bottle, an empty bottle. So all I have to do is drop the fish in front of him and he pulls us in. So this is the next dungeon that I didn't like, to be honest. It's so confusing, I got lost a few times. And in the middle of the dungeon we find the king's daughter, who tells you to carry her, and took me a while to figure out that you have to use her to solve the puzzles. You have to use her to press buttons. And on top of that, I got beaten by this octopus mini boss that's exactly not that hard, so I have no idea why I struggle so much, but I hate him. After defeating this octopus mini boss, it took me 20 minutes to figure out that you can use this little box to activate the button. Another thing I spent so many time looking around this dungeon, and this is a very simple answer. However, the final boss of this dungeon was really cool. I enjoyed a very cool fight with Anemona. Well, beating this dungeon, the king's daughter gives me the third and last spiritual stone. Getting to the castle, the classic cutscene of Zelda running from Ganondorf and she throwing the Ocarina of Time in the water, and in a dream or vision, she teach me the song to open the door of time. So I went to the Temple of Time. But who would imagine it? I do have trouble with such a simple task as is just playing the song at the Temple of Time. What I didn't know, and even thought my version of the game had glitches or something like that, is you have to play the song right in front of the 3 stones, where the red carpet is on the floor, and not on the giant pedestal or in front of the door. Or bro, you don't know how many time I lose in this part just trying to play this song. And maybe I'm playing the wrong song, maybe my version is glitched somehow. I spent so many time in this, and it just playing in front of the tones. I think that's kind of old game mechanic that sucks, but now it's a cool story, I think. Anyway, the door opens and a cutscene of Ganondorf appears, and now I have grown up. I'm adult Link. Bro, this is insane. Imagine playing this game when it released. I played for like 10 hours, and after that the game changes completely. And as I said before, I only realized this was going to happen after like 8 hours of gameplay. This is incredible. And look how the world is now. Everything changed despite everything is broken and terrible. It is so cool. You guys understand that the game took me like 10 hours of gameplay just to set everything, just to set the mood for the big moments. This is one of the big reasons why this game is so iconic. It's incredible. I love it. And I love it so much being like slow and being like kinda naive to understand this was going to happen. I spent 10 hours learning what Hyrule looked like before the game decided to take it away from me and destroy everything. Well, now as adult Link, I went to the cemetery and you can enter in the grave digger's house. After reading his diary, it tells you to enter his tomb. I look around in the graveyard and find a tombstone with flowers. Pushing, there's a passage. Dumpe is there, and if you can manage to follow him in this race, he will give you the hookshot. To leave this place, Navi teach me that I can use the music of Door of Time to interact with these weird blocks. Now the journey to the temples begin, and I will quickly go, or maybe not that quickly, go over each one, and of course the iconic water temple as well. The first one is the forest temple. I was really lost and confused, but what really set me back a lot was this. One of the small keys needed for the temple was outside the temple. That was a real pain. I end up walking right past it, and you have no idea how much time I wander around, look at that temple, looking for the key until I finally realized it was right outside the temple. It took me so many. I think I wandered around for like an hour or something, and I almost gave up until I went back to the entrance and finally find the key. And also in this dungeon, you find the fairy bow, or the bow in general, because as adult Link you can use some items like the boomerang, so adult Link use the bow. The boss of this temple is the Phantom of Ganon, a very cool boss. I died the first time and have to defeat him with only 3 HP, but I managed to defeat even with my Alpha and with the boss defeated. Saria is the first sage, actually the second sage, because the first sage was already there, so she's the second sage of the first temple. I don't know, this part's kind of confused, but that says she's the second sage. After the temple, I end up right in front of the great Deku tree. Actually, the Deku tree is Sprout that tells me the story and tells me that I'm a Hylian, not a Kokiri. My mother, a Hylian, with her baby, entered in this forest to escape the war and injured. She entrusts her child to Deku Tree. So that's my story. Next, I head to London Range, and after winning 2 races with Epona, I escaped with her. And at the Temple of Time, she teach me the song Prelude of Light that I can use to teleport to the Temple of Time. Before going to the next temple, I explored a bit with the Kid Link. I managed to drain the water from the well in Kakariko village, but I didn't understand that I need to do just with the phrase look for the Eye of True. So I decided to ignore for now, and if you already played this game, you know how close I was to discover this by myself. But when time comes, I will tell you more about this well. But I'm so frustrated. I was so close. But anyway, back to adult Link. I moved to the next classic event, which is paying 200 rupees to the Goron blacksmith in order to make the giant knife, only for it to break after just a few uses. This is also something I had no idea that what the sword was for. I thought it was just a joke or a prank, but it wasn't until I beat the game that I discovered this sword actually is so useful because it deals a lot of damage, but I had no way of knowing that. Finally, talking about the next temple, the Temple of Fire. Took me some time to understand that I need to use the hookshot on the wood things to reach locations in here. Just like the first temple, I got lost here too, wandered a lot, waste so many time, but not quite as much the first temple. There's a fight against a mini boss that you need to use a hookshot in order to attack it, so cool. Defeat the boss, I get the Megaton Hammer, and again, in the entrance of the temple, there was things, even thought I hadn't noticed then when the first time I went in the temple. I got scared, I got traumatized, and went back to check just to be sure, and I saw to use the Megaton Hammer there. The final boss of this temple is Volvagia, and I managed to die to it very fast the first time. And here's one thing I'm kinda frustrating about it, but I understand this is an old game with an old mechanic. is when you die, you are set back in the beginning of the dungeon with only 3 HP, and it took me a while to find a place to heal, so I need to go back, and I get lost so easy, so I sometimes didn't know where I need to go despite being like 2 minutes. And I need to heal and look for HP to recover my life, and and keep in mind I'm playing with a version which has some quality of life improvements. So, but I understand it's an old game, almost 30 years, but it's kind of frustrating. You die and I go to the beginning of the dungeon and I need to look for a heal. But anyway, after 20 minutes of struggle or something close to that, I defeat the boss and Darunia is the third sage. My next step is I get the iron boots, and my next temple is the most feared of all, the famous Temple of Water. My first mistake was that I entered the temple without the blue suits that lets you breathe underwater, and naturally I got totally lost, just like in the others, nothing new. But of course, much more lost in this temple. But first, just like the Temple of Time, I suffered again because I played the right song but wasn't in the spot the game wanted me to be in. I saw the Triforce on the wall, play the Zelda's Lullaby, and nothing happens. And I get lost for my life for more like 10 minutes or 20 minutes, I don't know, until I try it again and work it. I just need to be a little more close, or actually I think Navi just need to aim at the Zelda or the Triforce on the wall. So yeah, the second time I have done the right thing, I play the right song, but didn't work for some reason. I just need to be in the right spot again. Anyway, but was this moment that made me stop and find out how someone would get over this part. I have to kill these enemies using hookshot underwater in under a half minute. I have 1 minute or 1.5 minutes. I think I didn't have full health, so I can barely breathe underwater for like 1 minute. And I have to kill all enemies under 1 minute underwater using hook shots with my F1 and very desperate to do it quickly, so I fail, and fail again. I try a few times until I stop and look for a video of how someone can pass this part, and I noticed the guy in the video was using a blue suit. So I went back to grab this blue suit, freeing King Zoras, and now, breathing underwater, this fight was so much easy, and I managed to progress. My next challenge was, of course, another iconic boss of this game, Shadow Link. At first I was so desperate against him, and I lose, I don't know, 3 or 4 times until I tried different strategies to defeat him. I found that this jump attack is so broken, and I used this jump attack to defeat him. Very iconic boss. I hate me, by the way, he made me lose so many times, but okay. The Water Temple final boss was very easy, thank goodness. At least something in this temple was easy, and this was my experience in Water Temple. Not that bad, I gonna confess. I have heard about this temple being so difficult, but it's very confusing. But I think almost every water part in video games are like, people didn't like it, and not my favorite temple, but not that bad. With the Water Temple done, it was time to the Shadow Temple. I found the hover boots in Shadow Temple, and I end up meeting this monster who throws you out of the temple in the worst way. I hate so much because I think Navi gives you a warning of look, the monster in the ceiling or something like that. He got me the first time, but not the second. And of course, as you know, I didn't have the Lens of Truth cause I didn't even knew this was a thing. So I end up getting lost in the temple, and I had to look up online where the heck is the path was, what I was doing wrong. I feel really sad when I found out that you have to get the Lens of Truth from the well in Kakariko village. I was so close. I went there by myself, I discovered everything by myself, I had no idea. I found it, but I never would have imagined that this game had false walls. All I have to do is like walk through the wall, and that's it. I would have discovered this alone. Would be incredible. But unfortunately, I never imagined this game has this false wall mechanic. So anyway, I get there and I get the lens of throw. And it took me a while to figure out that I have to shoot an arrow into the bombs in the other side of this part to break the pillar to make a bridge with also another part in this temple. It took me a time. And this final boss of this temple is so cool. I love this final boss. I love it so much. Not that hard. Probably my favorite boss so far. Defeating it, Impa is our next stage. So there's just one more stage left if I didn't forget any temple. Because this game is so big, there's so many hours of gameplay, so bear with me, please. First, before going to the next temple, you have to go to Gerudo Fortress. Took me a long time to free all the workers, and I don't know if only in my game, but when you're fighting with the Gerudo guards, if one hit is gone. If she gives me one hit, I immediately go to jail. I don't know. I have saw online after, and other people can like get multiple hits. So I don't know if because this is the version of Nintendo 64 and the Nintendo 3DS is more easy, as I know. But okay, again, has everything in this game. Took me a while running around, wandering around, but a cool part. And our next step is the last temple, the Spirit Temple. As it's like normal in my video, I made another huge mistake right at the start of this temple. I head to the temple, I enter, and I noticed that I need to come here as Kid Link. I used the song to teleport to Temple of Time, and I didn't know I needed to leave the temple in order to activate a cutscene with Sheik. So I wasted more time. I teleport back. I noticed, but how in the hell I going there with Kid Link? I kinda stopped to give me a time and I go back to Adult Link and go back to the temple, and then when I leave the temple, the cutscene activate. But anyway, I done that, I leave the temple, and Sheik teach me the Requiem of Spirits. So now I can go to the Temple of Time, turn into the Kid Link, and play this song to teleport here. And this is another cool temple because you do at least the first part with Kid Link. It's cool that you do a temple with him, using his items and his mechanics. After defeating this armor mini-boss, or this animated armor, also cool fight, I get the silver gauntlets, and now I can progress using the adult Link. And also in this temple you get the mirror shield and use it to do some mechanics in the dungeon and to defeat the final boss. Probably, I don't know if this was my top one boss. I think this is my favorite boss, and the Shadow Temple is my second favorite boss, because these witch sisters are also so cool. I love it. The final boss of this dungeon is the Sorcerer Sisters Twinrova. I have no idea how to pronounce this. I had difficult to aim because, you know, I have said multiple times in this video, aim with the controller is so difficult to me, but I won at first and I didn't lose. The fight wasn't that hard. You just have to absorb the hits and reflect to him today. And I love this boss. They are so charismatic. Even when they die, they keep arguing with each other. Look just like every brothers or every sisters do. And Naburu is our last sage, and now it's time for Ganondorf Castle. I went back to the Temple of Time, it has the sage, and Sheik is waiting for me. After all the lore and Sheik revealing himself, actually herself, it turned out that actually she, and I thought it was a man, for my bad. Anyway, was Sheik. The important part is Sheik was Zelda all along. I had no idea about this. I never suspected that. So I have one of the three parts of the Triforce. I have the Triforce of Courage. Zelda have the Triforce of Wisdom, and Ganondorf have the Triforce of Power, and he wants the other two parts. Also, Princess Zelda gives me the Arrow of Light, and after that, Ganondorf gets Zelda. Heading to Ganondorf Castle, the stage creates a very beautiful bridge for me. I think it's important to mention that. And here in the castle, the first thing I have to do is to break all the 6 barriers. The shadow barrier in particular was a pain because I failed a few times to do these jumps and use the hook shot. You have to use the hover boots. So it's the only one that I got struggle was the shadow barrier. But despite that, nothing really difficult. But now came the final boss, the final part of the game. The first amazing thing, I think this is probably very, very iconic. When you enter the boss fight, Ganondorf is playing piano. He's playing the music is in the background. The first part of the fight was nothing really difficult, but if you fail, if you miss the reflecting attack to him, if you miss the timing, I think you lose like 3 hearts, so you will be very punished by your any mistake. And of course, I fail like I don't know 1 or 2 times. And also my first or second try, I ran out of energy to shoot the light arrows because you have to reflect the attack and then reflect the attack multiple times and then shoot the light arrows and it kills energy or mana. I think it's energy in this game, so I have to reset. But defeating him, you leave the castle with Princess Zelda, and of course, Ganondorf is still alive, and turn it into Ganon. In the first part of the battle, you don't have a sword. I don't know what I need to do, but I used the broken giant knife. I paid the 200 rupees to build the blacksmith, and then the knife broke, but it gave me the broken knife, so I thought maybe will be useful somehow. So I used the broken giant knife to damage him until I recovered the Master Sword, because in this first part you didn't have the Master Sword. So I think you can use like arrows and you can use your items to defeat him. So I used the broken giant knife, and then you can recover the Master Sword and defeat him. You also very punished for every mistake. I think every hit Ganon do to you is like 3 hearts, but after the first or the second try, it's very easy because you can roll behind his legs and it's very easy to attack his tail. And defeating Ganon, my journey comes to an end for the first time playing The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. There is no doubt that this game is incredible. Even playing it almost 30 years later, is an old game with old mechanics and is still worth to play, and I look forward to the remake. The old gameplay mechanics are a bit frustrating, like the camera is a bit weird sometimes, aiming at enemies, especially the flying ones, the flying bats. Oh, every bat flies, but you understand. It's kinda tricky to aim at flying enemies, but it's totally understandable. It's an old game. This game was way ahead of its time. It's revolutionary. It's incredible. And just to note, important thing before I end the video, I played the Ship of Harkinian version, basically the PC version, with some quality of life options enabled. Also, I'm looking forward to play Majora's Mask soon. Probably not my next game, but maybe like in the next 2 or 3 videos, I will decide to play Majora's Mask, and I'm very hyped, very excited to play Majora's Mask. And that's it. I hope you liked my journey through Ocarina of Time. Please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe so you don't miss any future content. There is another video appearing on the screen right now. Click on it and take a look at more games where I talk about my journey, and then see you in the next video. Remember, every week or every 2 weeks, I release a video in this channel, so keep an eye on that. If the game is like long, like Ocarina of Time, probably it took me like 2 weeks to finish the video. But if the game is short, in 1 week, I finish the video. So every week or every 2 weeks, there is video in this channel. So leave a like, subscribe, and see you in the next video.